Well, a very good evening to you and a warm welcome to TV 47 News Tonight. Glad you could join us this 28th day of September 2021, and thank you for choosing TV 47 News Tonight to inform you. My name is Musa Salah and we have a lot lined up for you, but first, the top stories making headlines tonight. Tonight, Treasury now says 15 billion shillings of the Petroleum Levy Fund that was to be set aside to cushion Kenyans from the high cost of fuel prices was used to fund government projects.
The fund does not have that money. And consequently, that request has not been honored.
But the cost of electricity might go down from December. Also tonight, Uhuru reshuffles cabinet, moves CS Wamalwa to defense, Keter to devolution, and Monica Juma from defense to energy.
Ladies and gentlemen, those changes take effect immediately.
CS Kobia signed more duties. Plus, DP allies fault their colleagues who met ODM boss Raila Odinga.
Tukutane kwa debe. Sababu hii debe ndio yenye kuamua. Hako wao wabilionea 20 na iko sisi sote mamilioni.
Welcome to the broadcast. Anwa Irimu is our sign language interpreter. TV 47 News Tonight begins right now. President Uhuru Kenyatta has made a cabinet reshuffle, moving CS Monica Juma from the Ministry of Defense to that of Energy. CS Eugene Wamalwa will now serve as the Cabinet Secretary in the Ministry of Defense, while Charles Keter was moved to the Ministry of Devolution. Paul Kirobi now reports on the changes that take effect immediately.
In the latest cabinet reshuffle, Defense Cabinet Secretary Monica Juma has been moved to the Energy and Petroleum Ministry, which has been held by Charles Keter, while Keter has been moved to the Devolution Ministry. CS Eugene Wamalwa has been moved to the Ministry of Defense from the Ministry of Devolution. In other changes, Major General Gordon Kihalangwa was moved from the Ministry of Public Works as the Principal Secretary to the State Department of Energy to serve as the Principal Secretary in the department. Joseph Njoroge will now serve as the PS in the Ministry of Transport after he was moved from the Ministry of Energy. Others affected in the changes include Solomon Kitungu from PS State Department of Transport to PS State Department Public Works, while Nelson Marwa was retained as the PS for the docket but will now report to the Public Service CS Margaret Kobia. The powerful docket of social protection, pensions and senior citizens was moved from the Ministry of Labour and will now be domiciled at the Public Service Ministry. The changes take effect immediately. Paul Kirobi, TV 47, Nairobi.
Now, following former IEBC Chief Executive Officer Ezra Chiloba's appointment to the Communication Authority on Tuesday, a section of Kenyans have raised eyebrows. Chiloba's appointment coming just months to the 2022 general election. Other appointments crucial to the Kenya's electoral process have also been made in the recent months. But what exactly does the Communication Authority do, and should you be worried even as you prepare to vote next year? Take a look. Embattled former IEBC Chief Executive Officer Ezra Chiloba's comeback into the national scene as the new Communication Authority of Kenya Director General to replace Francis Wangusi, who retired in 2018, has elicited mixed reactions among Kenyans. Chiloba having exited the Electoral Commission in October 2018 following 2 suspensions for procurement malpractices in the 2017-2018 elections. In a statement to newsrooms on Tuesday, CA Chairman Kembi Gitura said Chiloba would serve in that capacity for a renewable term of 4 years, his appointment coming just 12 months to the 2022 transition polls, generating a discussion on CA's role in the elections. While former IEBC Commissioner Roslina Kombe, who resigned in 2017, on her Twitter page expressed her disapproval of Chiloba resigning to fate, political activist Waikwa Wanyoike questioned the coincidence in Chiloba's appointment. In addition to regulating all media platforms, including television, radio, print and digital platforms, the communication regulator advises on and monitors the transmission of election results, forming part of Chiloba's in-tray in setting up 3G networks across the country for easy transmission of results. On Thursday last week, IEBC Chairman Wafula Chebukati raised concerns that the transmission of poll results would be delayed if the authority does not set up the network, which is required to upload copies of the actual ballot papers. Several changes have been made to the top leadership positions of government bodies, crucial in the electoral process in 2022, in a move seen as awarding IEBC officials who served between 2013 and 2017. Former Director of Voter Education, Partnerships and Communication at the IEBC, which has in the past been criticized for inaccurate data management in the disputed 2017 general election, Immaculate Kasait was in November 2020 appointed Kenya's first data commissioner, entrusting Kasait with personal data of Kenyans, including health, biometrics, among others. In the same year, her counterpart at the electoral body, James Muhati, who took over from the late Chris Musando as the director of ICT days to the disputed 2017 general election, was appointed the CEO of Huduma Kenya, a devolved service unit tasked with delivering government services such as identity cards, among other crucial documents. Well, away from that, the Ministry of Health has now assured Kenyans that no vaccine will expire before being administered to Kenyans. This is after concerns were raised over the delayed deployment of the Pfizer vaccine since its arrival 10 days ago. Zainab Mohammed with more.
After concerns were raised over the delayed deployment of Pfizer vaccines since its arrival 10 days ago, the Ministry of Health has assured Kenyans that no vaccines shall expire before being deployed.
There is no vaccine that is going to expire because we have got a force that ensures that that does not happen. We have got a cold chain that ensures that that does not happen. So we will not have any vaccines expiring. We are expecting to roll out the Pfizer vaccination next week as well.
According to the ministry, the deployment of the vaccine should begin next week after the arrival of the specialized syringes. Further, the ministry has insisted on the importance of getting vaccinated, saying no vaccines is superior to the other.
Whether it's Johnson & Johnson or Moderna or whatever, like the very able community health worker explained here, it doesn't really make any difference. So whatever you can get, for example, today in this county we are using Moderna. So let's use what we have. When the other ones come, we go for whatever we can get. At the end of the day, what we are really looking for is to ensure that our people are fully vaccinated.
Kagwe was speaking during the rollout of the National Accelerated Vaccination Campaign that targets to administer 5.8 million doses of COVID-19 vaccines by Mashujaa Day. Zainab Mohammed, T47.
Well, thank you, Zainab Mohammed, for that report. Slain Lake Naivasha fisherman Samuel Mwangi, who was allegedly shot dead by a Coast Guard officer manning the lake, has been laid to rest at their farm in Longonot, Naivasha, Nakuru County. Our reporter Willie Dennis Njiru has more.
A somber mood engulfed Naivasha area, Nakuru County, as mourners turned up to witness the burial of slain Naivasha fisherman Samuel Mwangi Suma, who was allegedly shot dead by a Coast Guard officer manning the Lake Naivasha.
Hata kama kuna makosa isuluhishwe kwa njia ambaye inafaa na inayostahili ili tujenge taifa. Ni kwa sababu kama tungeweza kuangamiza vijana, basi hakuna kesho na hakuna nchi. Kwa hivyo ningeomba serikali iweze kusimama vizuri na iangalie haya mambo. Vijana wamekufa sana, wamekufa kwa njia nyingi. Kwa hivyo tuwajali ili kizazi cha kesho kiweze kupatikana.
Samuel Mwangi, who was a fisherman at Karagita Beach, now adds to the list of individuals who have been unlawfully killed by police.
Kuna huzuni kwa familia kwa vile huyu kijana ametuacha na ameacha watoto wadogo sana. Sasa tungeomba serikali itusaidie.
Tunaomba serikali yetu kwa sababu si hatuna nguvu, tusaidie kufuata hiyo sheria ama kufuata hiyo maneno ya chuma, ili sisi tuwe na nafasi mzuri ya kufuata hiyo maneno serikali tusaidie.
Post-mortem reports indicate that Samuel was shot from behind while freeing the lake shores, with family and friends now calling for justice.
Upelelezi wa haraka ufanywe ili ofisa ambaye anahusika ama ambaye alihusika kwa haya mauaji achukuliwe hatua za kisheria vile inastahili. Hawa vijana ni wetu, bahari ni yetu, na ni lazima sisi kama watu wa Naivasha tukubaliwe kuaccess resources ama rasilimali ambazo ni zetu. Hatutakubali na hatutawahi kubali tena mambo kama haya yafanyike.
As such, the local leaders are advocating for the transfer of police officers in the area.
Sheria inaunda sababu na tukikataa tumekataa. Wacha tufanya hivi. Nataka tulisolve mpaka DC yaone sisi Coast Guard hatuwataki.
Kazi yao ni kuenforce license. Na maana hakuna license. Sasa sisi, na sio wewe ulikataa kuchukua license, sasa sisi tunaweza kuwasaidia nyinyi kwa njia moja. Kwamba sasa as long as nyinyi amujapewa license mukakataa kukata, we can negotiate. How do you relax operation ya kuenforce kama mpaka watu wapewe license?
Ile lake iko under the custodian ya county government of Nakuru. National government wanakuja kufanya nini?
For TV 47 from Naivasha, Nakuru County, I'm Willie Dennis Njiru.
May his soul rest in peace. Now, Interior Principal Secretary Karanja Kibicho has ordered a crackdown on foreigners who are in the country illegally. The PS has called on the state to restrict the number of travelers owing to the threat posed by the COVID-19 pandemic. A high number of Pakistani nationals have also been spotted in Nairobi and Athi River. The Kenyan government has suspended an agreement that allowed visa-free entry for passengers traveling into the country from Pakistan. In a letter to the High Commission of Pakistan, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs has cited that passengers undermining Kenya's COVID-19 quarantine regulations are the main reason for the ban. The letter reads in part: Well, away from that, the High Court will on the 15th of next month deliver a ruling in a case seeking to stop the implementation of the degree requirement for elective seats. Members of the County Assembly moved to court to challenge the law that is expected to be implemented in next year's general election. Faith Weru with that report.
Section 22 of the Elections Act and subsection 1 requires members of the Parliament and members of the County Assembly to have a degree from a recognized university for them to qualify as aspirants in the 2022 general elections. However, members of the County Assembly, through their lawyers, insist that the requirement is unconstitutional.
For and on behalf of the first three petitioners, with specific regard to the question of qualifications of members of county assemblies.
We argue, my lord, that the eligibility criteria adopted by Parliament in the amendment to
Section 22 of the Elections Act and subsection 1 requires members of the Parliament and members of the County Assembly to have a degree from a recognized university for them to qualify as aspirants in the 2022 general elections. However, members of the County Assembly, through their lawyers, insist that the requirement is unconstitutional.
For and on behalf of the first three petitioners, with specific regard to the question of qualifications of members of county assemblies.
We argue, my lord, that the eligibility criteria adopted by Parliament in the amendment to the Elections Act is unconstitutional.
The petitioners also urged that in support of the data they collected in the population census, some counties and wards will miss representation if the law is implemented.
The percentage of Kenyans who will not be represented, because about 96% of the Kenyan population does not have degrees, my lord. This amendment, if upheld, shall disenfranchise over 96% of Kenyans from the data that we have provided to court.
The lawyers said that there was no public participation by Kenyans, adding that the law will limit Kenyans in choosing an aspirant of their choice.
Because, my lord, Article 38 is two-pronged. The choice of the candidate, but also the choice of the people. So you tamper with the right of individuals when you limit their option to seek election to the country.
The MCAs also want to be given a lower threshold since they execute different responsibilities from the members of the Parliament.
MCAs cannot have or cannot be required to have the same qualifications as members of Parliament, as the President and as governors, my lord. Precisely, my lord, because their function or their role in the County Assembly is not similar to the roles of the other elected leaders, my lord. MCAs do not earn the same salary as members of Parliament. They do not earn the same salary as the President, senators, or as governors.
This comes after Elgeyo Marakwet Senator Kipchumba Murkomen filed a petition to amend the Elections Act to allow Kenyans who have the ability to read and write in English and Swahili be allowed to contest for the parliamentary seat. The members of the County Assembly have urged the court to declare the amendment unconstitutional in the ruling set to be delivered on 15th of October. Faith Weru, TV 47.
Well, Faith Weru's report takes us to our first commercial break, but we'll be back with more. Remember, you can follow this live broadcast on www.tv47.co.ke. Do stay with us.
You are watching TV 47. Ability is common in everyone. Those abled differently also have immense ability.
Maybe we are not good in books, but we can be good in life.
They reach beyond the limits in their special, different way.
If the society can just be careful in what they call them and how they refer to them, that would at least be better.
They need to be loved. They have feelings. They would like to give love. It's a natural thing.
Catch their story on Beyond the Limit on TV 47 every Saturday at 7:30 p.m.
The brain does not exactly know how to differentiate physical pain from the psychological.
Nilikuwa na feel nimefeel hata watoi wangu.
This month, our sisters, mothers and friends share their heartfelt stories of the pain and struggles with Joy Irongo.
We are all about being authentic and sharing our lifetime experiences to speak hope and empower a woman who's probably going through a rough patch.
Join us as we unravel the heartache.
So the doctor told me she has only 2 weeks to live.
Mimi nilikaa tu miezi 2 tu nikiwa na furaha kwa ndoa.
Every Saturday at 8:30 p.m.
Are you looking to buy a home? Or are you looking to build one, yet you don't know where to start? Well, The Realtor is your home of real estate development information, whether you are looking to invest in the city or outside the city. We link you with the experts in the field, be it designing.
We have also a very nice lighting and then gypsum decoration on the top of the ceiling.
Roofing.
When you involve a professional in your construction, there is a difference. A project that has been delivered by a professional person and a project that has not been delivered by a professional person.
Interiors.
We are trying to go for a mix of European and Middle Eastern look.
Everything all under one roof. Join us every Tuesday at 7:30 p.m.
Any waste stream in our society can be turned into a revenue stream. Basically, turning lemons to lemonade. It could be a restaurant, animation industry, artistry, or even fit.
Of untold stories.
Alright, welcome back. You're watching TV47 News Tonight. A probe by the Parliamentary Committee on Finance into the sharp rise in fuel prices in the country shows that the National Treasury misappropriated funds meant to stabilize fuel prices, therefore leading to the spike. The findings have now put the public exchequer that are cited insufficiencies in the Petroleum Development Fund as the reason behind the removal of subsidies on fuel on the spot for its role in the rise that is at record levels. David Mudoka has the details.
It is not something that you make a decision as a person on your own.
Members of Parliament sitting in the Departmental Committee on Finance and National Planning were on Wednesday treated to a game of musical chairs by Treasury Permanent Secretary Julius Moya when they sought to find out why Kenyans were not cushioned from the spike in fuel prices despite funding the Petroleum Development Levy meant to stabilize fuel prices. The levy, in which Kenyans are taxed 5 shillings and 40 cents per litre of fuel, was instead, according to fresh findings, directed to funding projects outside their intended purpose, including projects in the State Department of Infrastructure as well as in the Ministry of Energy.
It is also very, very clear and distinct. Unless you are telling us there are facilities being done under the Ministry of Energy for oil testing, and are there facilities being built under the Ministry of Infrastructure, then we'll be at peace.
This prompting a heated debate during the sitting as MPs put PS Moya to task to justify the apparent misappropriation of a fund that, had it been put into good use, would have seen the price of fuel remain at least 7 shillings cheaper.
It's like the father of the house taking away the money for buying food for the children to lend to their uncle money for going to buy a shaba somewhere.
We ought to know specifically how much money was sent to energy and how much money was sent to infrastructure, so that we can make a recommendation on our report whose State Department to refer that money to you so that we can stabilize the prices.
The Petroleum Development Fund is among the biggest winners in the Petroleum Development Act of 1991, which saw up to 25.9 billion shillings raised in the financial year 2020 to 2021, only for the committee, led by Homa Bay MP Gladys Wanga, to learn that 18 billions of the 25.9 billion shillings went to infrastructure. Only 5 billion shillings were used to subsidize the cost of fuel in August, and when the Ministry of Petroleum and Mining requested another 5 billion shillings to cushion Kenyans in September, the taps had run dry.
So if in 1 litre of petrol you have 5 shillings and 40 cents for PDL, and you have 18 shillings for road maintenance, why would you use all the ones for road maintenance and come back to the one for stabilization just because the law says common facilities and still use it?
There are things to consider. You've got different departments to consult. You've got the tax side, you've got the law side, you've got the PPP side. I mean, just to make sure that we don't come up with a rash decision that will be faulted.
But while the officials from the Exchequer were at pains to absolve themselves from the blame, the Finance Committee is now in a race against time to make recommendations to the petition challenging the fuel prices, as well as draft a bill comprising of legislative interventions into the fuel price crisis. This follows the looming lapse of the 14 days issued by National Assembly Speaker Justin Muturi to the committee to table a report before the whole House on ways to reverse the situation. The 14-day period lapses on Tuesday. David Mudhoka, TV47.
Well, still related to the cost of power in the country, Kenyans will soon begin enjoying cheaper electricity tariffs. This is after President Uhuru Kenyatta welcomed a new path in the reduction of electricity costs from 500 shillings to 300 shillings per kilowatt hour by December 31st this year. And as Muthoni Maina now reports, the power distributing company has 4 months to review all power deals.
Kenyans will soon enjoy cheaper electricity costs. This after President Uhuru Kenyatta welcomed the recommendations of the task force that established a path towards the reduction of the cost of electricity by over 33% within 3 months. The proposed interventions include a drop on the cost of electricity from 500 Kenya shillings to 300 Kenya shillings by December 31st, 2021. A unit of electricity will now be priced at 16 Kenya shillings per kilowatt hour from 24 Kenya shillings per kilowatt hour, which is about 2/3 of the current tariff. Due to the uncoordinated institutional architecture that inadvertently contributes to hiked operational costs passed on to consumers, Kenyatta has directed the Cabinet Secretary, Ministry of Energy, to secure the immediate implementation of all the recommendations of the task force by December 25th, 2021. The power distributing company has been directed to review and renegotiate with independent power producers, IPPS, to secure immediate reduction of power purchase agreements PPA tariffs within existing contractual arrangements. Other recommendations include cancellation with immediate effect of unconcluded negotiations of power purchase agreements and ensure future PPAs are aligned to the Least Cost Power Development Plan LCPDP. Fast track the ongoing reforms at Kenya Power to restructure it into a commercial entity that is profitable and cost-effective electricity supply to all consumers. Muthoni Maina, TV47.
Well, let's switch gears to matters related to health. President Uhuru Kenyatta has this evening commissioned 2 hospitals in Kibra informal settlements as part of the ongoing national government program to expand access to healthcare by Nairobi city residents. Accompanying the head of state was the NMS Director General Mohamed Badi and former Prime Minister Raila Odinga, who said the new Kibra and Ndogo high-rise health facilities would help decongest Mbagathi and Kenyatta national hospitals.
mahali wakina mama watakuwa wanatembea kuzaa, na si lisensi ya kuzaa zaidi, lakini endeleeni na kazi hiyo. Itakuwa inafanya kazi 24 hours a day, usiku na mchana, watu wapatiwe huduma yao. Nilienda nikatafuta baba na tukashikana mkono, waone na waangalie na wasome faida ya amani na faida ya umoja.
Ingine, Mheshimiwa Rais, hawa vijana wameshikwa sana ni mambo ya COVID. COVID imekuwa kali sana kwao. Wamekuwa nani sana. Waliniomba adile mambo ya kazi mtaani, ikiwa kama inaweza kurudi wangesikia vizuri sana. Kibira hoye! Kibira hoye! Wazungu wanasema ati action speaks louder than words. Kuna wale wengine ambao wanabweka, lakini ngurumo ya chura haiwezi kuzuia ng'ombe kunywa maji.
Well, 30 minutes past the hour, and it is time to take our second commercial break, but we'll be back with more. Do stay with us.
You are watching. Ability is common in everyone. Those abled differently also have immense ability.
Maybe we are not good in both, but we can be good in life.
They reach beyond the limits in their special, different way.
If the society can just be careful in what they call them and how they refer to them, that would at least be better.
They need to be loved. They have feelings. They would like to give love. It's a natural thing.
Catch their story on Beyond the Limit on TV 47 every Saturday at 7:30 p.m.
The brain does not exactly know how to differentiate physical pain from the psychological.
Nilikuwa na feel nimefeel hata watoi wangu.
This month, our sisters, mothers and friends share their heartfelt stories of the pain and struggles with Joy Irongo.
We are all about being authentic and sharing our lifetime experiences to speak hope and empower a woman who's probably going through a rough patch.
Join us as we unravel the heartache.
So the doctor told me she has only 2 weeks to live.
Mimi nilikaa tu miezi 2 tu nikiwa na furaha kwa ndoa.
Every Saturday at 8:30 p.m.
Are you looking to buy a home, or are you looking to build one, yet you don't know where to start? Well, The Realtor is your home of real estate development information, whether you are looking to invest in the city or outside the city. We link you with the experts in the field, be it designing.
We have also a very nice lighting and gypsum decoration on the top of the ceiling.
Roofing.
When you involve a professional in your construction, there is a difference. Project that has been delivered by a professional person and a project that has not been delivered by a professional person.
Interiors.
We are trying to go for a mix of European and Middle Eastern look.
Everything all under one roof. Join us every Tuesday at 7:30 p.m.
Any waste stream in our society can be turned into a revenue stream. Basically, turning lemons to lemonade. It could be a restaurant, animation industry, artistry, or even fitness. Just like the sweet and sour taste of lemons, businesses have their highs and their lows. Join me, Violet Njoki, on the grind as business entrepreneurs tell us the tales of their business every Monday at 7:30 p.m.
Our version of Kilimo Diaries is different. Crops, the home of untold stories.
Welcome back. You're watching TV47 News Tonight. And in politics, Deputy President William Ruto's allies from Mount Kenya region have criticized the meeting between ODM boss Raila Odinga and tycoons under the Mount Kenya Foundation. Joash Onsare has the details. A day after the Mount Kenya Foundation tycoons and opinion shapers hosted ODM leader Raila Odinga to highlight on the region interests, Deputy President William Ruto and his allies have criticized that meeting.
Tukifanya mkutano na wale wenye mali ili serikali ichunge mali yao, hiyo ni kitu mzuri. Lakini pia tukifanya mkutano na wale wako chini ili serikali wasaidie kutengeneza mali, pia tukubali, hiyo ni kitu mzuri. Tusiseme ni class war, hapana. Kila mtu ako na interest. Wale wenye mali wako na interest ya kuprotect mali yao. Wale wako chini wako na interest pia ya kupangiwa vile watafanya biashara, vile watapata kazi, ndio pia wakuwe na mali. That is their interest.
Na wale wazee ambao tuliona jana wakiwa na huyu anaitwa baba, mimi pangu sikuona makosa. Wajua kwa nini sikuona makosa? Hao wazee ndio walikuwa wanafanyia Moi campaign 1997 na ile chama inaitwa Central Kenya Support Development Group. Yule chairman alikuwa wa hiyo group 1997. Saa hii pia ni yeye alikuwa chairman. Na walianguka 97 na saa hii pia wataanguka.
The Tuesday meeting backed Raila's candidature but declared the beginning of a search for President Uhuru Kenyatta's successor. Odinga said he is ready to work with the Mount Kenya leaders. Odinga pledged to address various challenges facing the country and the region, including youth unemployment. Addressing the mourners at the burial of the father to Nyeri County Assembly Speaker John Kagusha in Mukurweine, Nyeri County, DP Ruto called on the ODM leader to accept the outcome of the 2022 presidential results.
Mnataka rais mwenye mtaenda kumwabudu? Si mnataka rais mwenye anafanya kazi? Sasa mamlaka ile kwa saa hii kwa rais inatosha. Hakuna haja ya kuongezea rais mamlaka ingine. Hiyo iko hapo inatosha. Wacha ingine ibaki kwa judiciary. Ndio tukipata wazimu judiciary watusaidie. Wacha ingine ibaki kwa bunge, ndio wawezi wakiweko waende watafute wafanyiwe oversight.
Tungetaka kuomba hao mabilionea walikutana jana. Nimesikia watakutana na huyu mtu ya kitawili baada ya miezi 2. Tunataka watusaidie kwa sababu hao watamfikia. Waulize mtu ya kitendawili atuhakikishie kabisa, hata kama ataandika, ya kwamba tukipiga uchaguzi akishindwa na William Ruto atakubali.
Leaders who accompanied the Deputy President called on the Mount Kenya Foundation members to be realistic in meeting the region's interests and not their self-interests with presidential hopefuls.
It is good to meet presidential candidates and it is good to unite the region. But I want to ask them very categorically and respectfully. When our people were being chased away at night when it was raining in Kariobangi and Ruai, where was Mount Kenya Foundation? When we have been talking about guaranteed minimum returns for coffee and tea and milk, where was Mount Kenya Foundation?
Mount Kenya has always been united because it wants to keep the promise of 10 years for President Uhuru and 10 years for William Ruto. So there is no negotiation about uniting. We are already united under William Samoei Arap Ruto.
The Mount Kenya Foundation are scheduled to meet other presidential hopefuls. Joash Onsare,
TV 47.
Now, still on the same, ODM boss Raila Odinga's allies and President Uhuru Kenyatta's supporters believe Odinga's turn to receive the support of the Mount Kenya region is ripe. Now, tycoons from the region endorsed Odinga's candidature after years of being demonized in the region. Elizabeth Mutuku has the details.
Raila Odinga's Mount Kenya mission started last weekend with an overwhelming support and triumphant welcome in Nyeri, Laikipia, Murang'a and Kiambu counties. Yesterday, Raila met Mount Kenya business tycoons and politicians from the Mount Kenya region who endorsed his candidature, his allies and those of President Uhuru Kenyatta, keen to erase the existing demonization of the man Raila in the region.
If there is a person the Mount Kenya people had a problem with in 2012, is the Deputy President. Because of what had happened in 2007, and we don't need to forget, because in 2007-2008, our people were killed in Rift Valley. And our people had a problem with us dealing with the Deputy President, so to speak. But finally, he was accepted. So there is nobody who cannot be accepted in Mount Kenya. Let nobody lie to the nation that the Mount Kenya people cannot accommodate anybody. Our Mount Kenya people are very, very accommodative.
This being where we are, a time comes when we must start afresh. And so this is opening a new chapter. And we are alive to the fact of what has happened before. But that is now water behind the bridge. We want to construct new things as Kenyans. We want to unite Kenyans, especially to mobilize the thinking of Kenyans, that Kenyans, we can also do what other people have done elsewhere. We are really focused about the economy of this country. And this is the crossroads by which now Kenyans must make a decision on which type of leadership management is able to bring about economic revolution in this country in a mature, poignant manner.
Odinga's weekend tour of Mount Kenya region seen as a sign of better political fortunes, saying that he would cement President Kenyatta's legacy as well as to ensure stability and continuity.
The money that goes per capita to Kiambu is about 3,000 shillings. We have counties which are getting per capita of 24 shillings. It's not fair. But when we brought that motion, that formula to the Senate, we will look at how people voted. We will see. Those who voted for the formula that we wanted, that was fair, we will have the list, But you cannot now come to claim, that you want our vote and you will support us in 2022 and beyond, and you even give us ministerial positions, including the deputy or the running mate. Whereas when we needed you to support us, when we wanted our fair share of representation, our fair share of resources, you are against us, for sure, I don't think we are going to get a very good reception. So we don't want to see, we will not allow conmanship. We will not allow a person who will come lie to us.
Who explained how literally the issues concerning them can be, can be solved. Whether it is employment, whether it is juvenile issues and so on. And so there is a lot of messaging that we from the kitchen are brewing, designed for the young people. We want to break down issues of economy. We don't want to talk about how Kibaki would talk about economies or how Musalia is talking about economy. We want to break this thing down so that the youth can know his space or her space in this campaign.
Pundits describing Odinga's Central Kenya tour as the opposition chief's triumphant entry in the Mount Kenya region, with leaders vowing to campaign for the former Prime Minister ahead of the 2022 presidential contest.
Friend, you look for a friend who will stand with you in a more structured and long-term way than a friend who is selling you wheelbarrows. In fact, selling wheelbarrows to the people of Mount Kenya is like abusing them, because people of Mount Kenya are known to be enterprising, are known to be ambitious. So when you tell them you want to sell them a wheelbarrow, to be pushing a wheelbarrow, yes, they need wheelbarrows for construction, but their lives cannot be centered around wheelbarrows only.
We think that we want to get our fair share. That is all what we want. So any person is free to come to Mount Kenya, but with a caveat. Don't dangle the carrot of leadership. We are not interested in the position of leadership. We are just interested in making sure that we have fair representation in all organs. If it is in Parliament, we must see a reflection of our votes. Not the reflection should not just happen when we do the presidential tally. The reflection of our votes should commensurate with the numbers in the National Assembly, in the Senate. We also want to see equitable share of our fair share, the monies that are going to counties.
As 2022 drumbeats gets louder by day, ODM boss Raila Odinga is seemingly scaling the mountain. On whether he's going to address the existing narrative against him in the mountain is a matter of wait and see. Elizabeth Mutuku, TV 47 Palm Biddings, Nairobi.
Well, thank you, Elizabeth Mutuku, for that report. Now, Kenya today joined the rest of the world in marking the World Heart Day, and the residents of Mombasa County flocked to the Makadara Stadium, where several medical practitioners pitched tent to educate the residents on matters cardiovascular diseases. Petrina Goren has the details.
These medical practitioners arrived here early Wednesday morning, ready to educate and offer services to residents as the country commemorates the World Heart Day.
Today we are here to commemorate the World Heart Day and the World Heart diseases that we're having today, mainly hypertension, diabetes, that are causing cardiac problems. So these are things that precipitate someone to develop cardiac diseases, and mainly what we're talking about cardiac diseases is either blockages in the arteries of the heart, that are coronary artery disease, or weakness of the muscles of the heart, which are called cardiomyopathies.
Residents who gathered here had their vitals checked and later educated on cardiovascular diseases.
Nimeelekezwa kule kwa kupimwa, kwenda kupimwa huko, unajua hali yako ya moyo, na pia unaambiwa unafanya zoezi na unakula fruits kwa wingi.
We need to live a healthy lifestyle. If you have diabetes, if you have hypertension, it's good to have regular checkups with your physician. Do regular physical exercise, maintain your diet, and all these are risk factors which lead to eventually to cardiovascular disease.
Nutritionists at the event warned that diet is an important risk factor in coronary heart disease.
We need to regulate the table salt, and we ensure that our meals is prepared by a pinch of salt to taste. What we tend to discourage is the raw salt that we keep on adding on already cooked meals that is already served on our plate. If we can control that, we are in a better position to even prevent those other risk factors which might lead to heart problems.
Experts say there have been a sharp increase of cases of cardiovascular diseases, attributing it to the COVID-19 pandemic, which they say has negatively affected heart patients. Petronila Goren for TV 47 in Mombasa County.
And in the world of business, the Kenya Private Sector Alliance, in collaboration with the Agriculture Sector Network, has today held a consultative meeting addressing the challenges sugarcane farmers are facing in the country. A decline in the sugarcane farming from 630,000 tons in 2015 to 490,000 tons in 2018 has been highlighted. Speaking during the event in Nairobi, the Director of Kenya Private Sector Alliance and Chairman Bimal Kantaria has urged the government to enact the sugar bill as well as implement the task force report.
Isn't it? We do what we're good at. We're good at agriculture. How do we do value addition? These are the directions. What we don't have, they've privatized the industry, but the regulations aren't in place yet. So it's confused the sector. It's confused all of us. We're fighting amongst ourselves, which is very unhealthy for a nation.